Second attempt.
We'll go ahead and call this Norwood City Council meeting to order. If everyone can please rise for a moment of reflection in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen.
Here.
Mrs. Hoover.
Here.
Mrs. Bowling.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here.
Mr. Girton.
Here.
Mr. Braden.
Here.
And Ms. Royce.
We do have 6 members present this evening. Just a reminder for any ordinances or resolutions where we suspend the rules, we will need all 6 members present voting in order to pass that. Moving on to amendments of the agenda, we only have one, and that is to add the Finance Committee report. Mrs. Bowling.
I move that we amend the agenda as stated.
Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen.
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Girton.
Yes.
Mr. Braden.
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. We move on to special presentations. And this evening, we have a presentation regarding Worth Avenue Market Analysis presentation. And this is by Kara Kaprulu, a UC Co-op DAP student. I do apologize if I'm...
No, that's okay.
Okay.
It's Kyra, but I do both. Hi, everyone. My name is Kyra Kaprulu. I am a third-year urban planning student at the University of Cincinnati, and I got the opportunity to do an internship with the city of Norwood this semester, and I was given the chance to do a market analysis on Worth Avenue, which some of you may know. I just want to begin with why this study kind of began. And so UC has a program, some of you may know, they do co-ops instead of school for a semester. And this semester I was on co-op, and Norwood Together reached out to me and said, hey, the city is looking to do a market analysis. Would you be interested in helping them? And I was very excited to. So that's how this whole thing kind of begun. The purpose of a co-op is to get real life experience and get takeaways, whether it's in community work, city work, whatever type of urban planning you are doing. So for me, it was to learn how research, zoning, economics, and community voices shape redevelopment decisions. And then also another reason why this whole analysis begun was because Worth Avenue is a corridor with decades of decline, but clear signs of life that is still there. This study was created to answer one central question that I based it upon, which was what's realistically possible for Worth Avenue still. Oops. So I want to start by showing you guys some existing conditions. So the yellow highlighted buildings are what currently exist and are up and running right now. So on the very right, to my right, you see the automobile shop that's still there, that's up and running. That's been there for a while. Across that, we have the famous J&W sandwich shop. To the left of that, we have the Thrifty Food Mart, which a lot of community residents are utilizing till this day. Then we have Coffee Emporium Roastery to the very top left corner. And then next to that, there are apartment units that are still up and active. And then on the bottom, there is a barber shop. And then there's actually another barber shop to the back of it, but we don't know if it's a barber shop or if it's some sort of lash shop. We tried to go in there, but after several site visits, the doors were always locked. So that's kind of what's there right now. key findings of what I found was everyday demand anchors are basically J&W and the Thrifty Food Mart is what brings the most pedestrian activity to that site. J&W has been there for several years and drive in customers from all over, not just Worth Avenue area. It has a strong neighborhood context, so stable, diverse area with rising incomes and home values is some of the data I have found. It's a very walkable neighborhood scale location. It's a very dense residential setting, a lot of single family houses all around within a half a mile and a whole mile radius. It's ideal for everyday neighborhood serving uses. Supportive zoning and building stock is there. So the neighborhood business zoning, which is what NBD stands for those who don't know, and small footprint buildings suit small businesses, mixed use, and reuse. So this area supports all three of those. And then there's visible reinvestment opportunity. So there's vacant and underused spaces and a weak streetscape right now, but they signal for upgrade. So why the current market didn't fix it is because buildings are currently aging, they're vacant, and it doesn't look too welcoming to outsiders that view this area. So it's not too pleasing to the eye, even though there is still signs of life there. The lots are really small, so it's really hard to make use of that because when lots are too small, a big store or chain company can't come in and use that. They would have to chop it up. And like it wouldn't be easy to build on. So therefore it would be too expensive to buy and demolish houses to make a big site. So private developers are scared to like take action in doing so. So redevelopment requires high upfront costs estimated for about $250,000 to $300,000. Long-term vacancy has created a cycle of disinvestment. So it's been vacant. A lot of those properties have been vacant for several years, and private investors could not overcome these barriers alone. So they would need support to want to take action. So the opportunity that I've come to the conclusion of, in my opinion, is residents, and with supporting data, resident spending consistently focuses on food, healthcare, childcare, and everyday essentials. Existing small-scale local businesses and are successful and attract customers from beyond Worth Avenue, such as J&W Sandwich Shop. The corridor is best suited for practical neighborhood serving uses rather than big box retail. So a big old McDonald's wouldn't work there if they just plopped themselves in. There is a strong opportunity for additional small-scale businesses that serve the surrounding community. And I do want to note, like after several site visits, I've engaged with several community members and walked around with a resident that's been living there for over 30 plus years. And he did say once this area was a lively and really vibrant business district, and it had several different mixed-use businesses, and it was an area that people were hanging out in every day, and it was very welcoming. So I wanted to mention that before I moved along. So the way I kind of went about this and took a very out-of-the-box approach, but also keeping it realistic, was a phasing strategy, just like I do in school. So for my studio projects, we do a lot of phasing when we are doing these site projects. So I did 3 phases. So the first phase would be short-term, which is supporting the existing church that is there, which is St. Emmanuel's Baptist Church. So expanding their food pantry, and this is something that I did talk to them about, and they were very interested in expanding their food pantry. And then creating food slash business incubator for local vendors. So if in one of those properties this happened, it would be supporting not only the church, but other people that would want to come in and out and utilize a space. It wouldn't have to be permanent, so it would just be kind of a moving incubator. And then thirdly would be adding maybe a micro clinic, like a minute clinic, and or a daycare. So this would be supporting the church, but also the community, which also has a lot of children living in it. Phase 2 would be midterm, So that would be activating maybe the coffee emporium that's already there, the roaster, maybe adding a pop-up window and having them just sell like black coffee. That would be activating what's already there without major investment. So that would just be adding like a window, so on. And then converting properties into mixed use, and then improving the existing pocket park that's already there. It's actually zoned a park. It's really small and it has one bench. People don't even know it's there, but which I'll get to from surveys that I've collected. People do want to see a little park there and do want to see it be activated. And then the final phase would be long-term, and that's things like additional mixed-use housing, ground floor community uses, strategic public acquisition where it is needed. So some policy and incentive tools, like the top 3 things would be vacancy registration, financial incentives, and local first zoning. So requiring vacant storefronts to be registered for better tracking and enforcement, using CRAs and facade grants and low interest loans to support property and business upgrades, and then using zoning and using restrictions to favor small locally owned shops over chained and big box retailers. So why council should be excited, this is why I'm here, right, to excite all of you. It's to, so this whole analysis would create, the purpose of this is to get your guys' hopes up and essentially create a true neighborhood Main Street for Worth Avenue and the people living there and around there, even Bond Hill, since it's so close. Worth Avenue can become the everyday hub for food, services, and social life. It's supporting a walkable urban core. It strengthens local businesses and wealth. Builds on existing assets, not big projects. So there is a foundation there. It just needs some support. Supportive neighborhood business district zoning and small footprint buildings make this a low cost and high impact corridor to back. So that is something to note. In conclusion, investing in Worth Avenue builds a strong, walkable neighborhood center and a renewed sense of pride. And then this is some community feedback I gathered from some surveys I made, and I walked around the entire site and handed out flyers. We sat in front of J&W for 2 or 3 hours, engaged with people not just living there, but also people coming in and out of that area. Because we said, hey, like, we want your opinions too. You guys are coming into this area, though you may not live here. What would you want to see here that's besides the sandwich shop? So some main challenges people said was rundown buildings and lack of upkeep, safety concerns on Worth Avenue, limited local businesses and amenities, poor roads, traffic, and lighting. What they said they would love to see is cleaner, safer streets, more restaurants, cafes, and green space, better communication and city support, resources for residents and businesses. One thing I do want to note is they said safety concerns on Worth Avenue, but after looking at the crime data I got from the city itself, there isn't actually a big crime issue in Worth Avenue. A lot of the crime is non-violent crime with mainly a lot of just vehicle tickets. So that tying back into the concept of the area just not looking appealing to the eye, and people just start to assume and step away. So the future vision is a cleaner, more vibrant area with small local businesses, parks /park, and a stronger community connection. There is a park nearby, that's why I said parks. But this is kind of a SWOT analysis. It goes through a lot of the stuff I already talked about. I'll just read the strengths and opportunities. Some strengths are stable, diverse community with rising incomes and home values. Flexible zoning supports small businesses and mixed-use growth. And then some opportunities are mixed use and small local businesses, streetscape lighting, and green space improvements, community-focused investments, and partnerships. Thank you. Sorry, that was a lot.
Thank you.
Any questions? Mrs. Francis?
Yeah, were you able to talk to Coffee Emporium employees or the ownership at all?
Yeah.
Is there any interest from them in opening that kind of thing? I didn't know what kind of timeline they might be on.
I got to meet the owner of Coffee Emporium, and she was very interested in, when I told her what I was doing, she was very interested in like what I was doing, and she started to ask more questions. I didn't really get a clear answer from her, but she did ask me what's going on in the building across the street. If you look at the building straight across from Coffee Emporium, which is to the very left, to the bottom corner, there's something going on there. We're not really sure, but she seemed interested in what was. So maybe they're looking to expand their kitchen. But yeah, if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, I think since they're already there, it would be great if they could expand into walk-up service even just for a little bit. Because
Yeah.
I know, judging by the success of Birdie's, coffee is definitely an unmet need. Well, good coffee is definitely an unmet need.
Yeah,
in
100%.
the area.
Mrs. Hoover?
Thank you. I'm curious, I loved your idea about the vendor space. And I was recently at the Kennedy Heights Art Center, which is an old building that was a Lindner building. They were going to knock it down, and folks bought it, like community members bought it. And now it hosts not only like space for art classes for kids and things like that, but they also have a shop where you can buy earrings or all artwork, all sorts of things. Were you thinking about having that connected with the church facility or space next to the church?
So I personally was thinking the big space right next to J&W. So it would be to the left of J&W on the bottom. That's the biggest property that's on our site that I thought would suit well for an incubator like that. I didn't necessarily think it would be connected to the church itself, but I thought that they could work together closely and since they do share like a back parking space to the back of that area, I thought they could maybe work together and just partnership a lot with whoever they want to bring in and stuff. So not necessarily have the church maybe own it, but definitely have them be supporting it.
Who currently owns that building?
So that entire strip, actually during my market analysis, the owner of J&W, Mr. Andy, he owned that entire strip, which we found out. And then towards the end of my study, we randomly found out that he sold it. So the entire strip is sold to a affordable housing company called, I'm
8K?
blanking on, no.
I don't know if they're affordable housing, but they renovate houses throughout the city. I can't look, but it's.
Okay.
I think
We
it's
will
sold
find
November
out.
6th or something.
Yeah.
find
When I looked up the name, for some reason I found affordable housing, but I might be wrong.
It's something they advertise, but they
Okay.
renovate properties.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, they sold the entire strip. So we don't even know if Mr.
What's
Andy's.
available.
Yeah, we don't even know if Mr. Andy's gonna stay there with J&W. So hopefully they do. But
Oh, no. Everyone run out.
Mr. Moore?
Would you mind going back to the slide? I don't know what number it was, but it had the local first zoning and
this one.
yeah, here. Because ultimately, two of the biggest tools that we have are the sort of the laws and codes, and then the budget component. So I'd be interested if you could talk more about this idea of local first zoning, and just anywhere that you've seen that be successful.
So me being a third-year urban planning student, I'm still learning all the zoning and all the nitpicky stuff. So I haven't really looked into other places that this has been successful in, but working with Mike, I learned that this is something that does work and does actually get approved of. So that's kind of where I came with that conclusion.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm giving you the best answer, but it's the best of my ability.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions? All right, Mr. Skelly, not to put you on the spot, anything you wanted to add?
No, we're glad to have our public use code cooperation with one with the other, so it's been a good experience. I don't know if the city had, at least in my tenure here, last 4.5 years, that opportunity, but it's pretty positive, so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, this.
And moving on to requests to address council, we do have 3 of those this evening. The first is Charlene Myers.
Hi, I'm Charlene Myers, and as many of you know, I run a group called Focus Cincinnati. And I just wanted to pause a minute and maybe address what Focus is all about, because I've done this before, but I just wanted to refresh everybody's memory. So Focus is an acronym, and it stands for Food, Occupation, Clothing, Understanding, and Shelter. And currently, in Norwood, we are running 2 community meals, and we are moving to a weekly food pantry at Christ the Savior. And that's done because our neighbors in need are facing some great needs out there in terms of food. The secondary thing that we do, there's 2 secondary things that we do in order to assist our neighbors in need. One is the Norwood View Giving Tree. And this year I didn't get anything out to you guys in order to participate. I did last year, but the school gave me a really tight timeline, not telling on anybody, but a really tight timeline in order to get everything out. But thankfully, we have collected all of the presents that we need in terms of donations. And the day that we are giving them out will be on December 15th at the school with Santa Claus there. So that's going to be a great event. The other thing I wanted to point out about Focus is we are completely donation funded in that there are donations that are gathered from, we're an Orthodox organization, Orthodox Christian, and there are several Orthodox Christian churches in the area, and they provide donations to us in order to have our initiatives. Obviously, we see grants and other things that nonprofits do. I don't see my timer up there. You got me a little nervous, Mr. Keller.
You're at 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. I'm a little nervous. And lastly, the third thing that we are going to start again this year is the Warming Center. And the Warming Center will be located in the same place on Williams Avenue. And we decided that we're going to open in January. We have applied for a grant to kind of extend our time, but we are going to, unlike last year, we did a little bit of an open shut that created some challenges with our neighbors in need in that they never knew when we were open and would possibly stand outside of Williams Avenue, that area, to determine if we were open. So we will be open for a period of time, and it'll make it very obvious for people so that it's not this kind of open shut thing. And that'll start when City of Cincinnati opens theirs and when the temperature gets below 20 degrees. So that's everything from Focus Cincinnati. Thank you.
Thank you.
I made it in time, I hope.
You did. All right, the next request to address council is Bishop Sonny James.
I better hurry and get to this stand. First of all, to our wonderful residents in Norwood, I want to say to you, happy holidays. I also want to acknowledge that sometimes we're going to have an investigative team come and preferably work with the city, if they're open to that, to really create a crime study that seems to fit the narrative of the demographics that I see. Because as many of you know, that when there were guns actively on a particular street in Norwood, it was me that was on the street addressing those individuals head on. I've come to council and I've shared with you over and over again that there is a special anointing, and I give God all the credit, because without him, I'm nothing. But one of the things that I've noticed in Norwood over the years, and many of you would say, Bishop, you've come and you've made plenty of challenges. Well, unapologetically, yes, I have. But I would have to say you probably haven't seen anything yet. But Mr. Gears, and to others, I will do my best not to get kicked out of council in 2026, but I cannot make any promises just yet. I'm proud to say that I brought a lot of individuals to council that normally hadn't come. And one of the things that I want to challenge us to do, like I'm excited about our college students. Please don't take what I'm about to say harshly, because I'm not. But recently we had a wonderful meeting with some Xavier students. It was a wonderful meeting, and they even fed us. I was loving that part. But one of the things that I want us to challenge ourselves to do this year is to really be open to more people coming to the table. Let me give you an example. Kenny Domingos is working directly under my tutelage and leadership. July 1st through 5th, he will be going with me to Washington, D.C. And we will be going into the building. Now, if you're nice to me, you might want to hook up with them and say, Kenny, you're a graduate of the Xavier University. What opportunities do we have for individuals like Mr. Domingos, who's actually going to do things and go places that maybe some of us in Norwood haven't gone? It's awfully nice to be able to say, I'm a college graduate and I have a seat at the table. And in Norwood, I want to see more seats open up. For instance, when I look at our clerks and I look at other staff members and people who work in this community, our community is starting to really look diverse. And guys, I am Norwood's biggest cheerleader, bar none. On December the 20th, from 12 to 2:30 p.m., we are hosting again Come Together 2.0. And there'll be dignitaries there, there'll be clergy there, there'll be residents there. But what you're going to actually see is some of the youth that are actually have been out there on the streets. Kenny Domingo is one of my success ambassadors, where he works with the young man that you all met. The first time I brought him here, he had to come in with his face covered, because if he were seen by people in the street, they would probably want to take his life away. And we've worked with these at-risk individuals. And I want to challenge our city to really embrace not just me, but others that are skilled to do work to bring people together. And on Saturday, December the 20th, Come Together 2.0 is open to everybody. And then when we do have people come and speak, guys, I know you're probably communicating with the president, but when we have people that prioritize you, I would like to see all of you prioritize them. To look up, look them in the eye, and make them feel that they're accepted. Just like we did when our college students came. We embraced them, and that's what we should do. But I'm going to be bringing some folks here that probably feel disenfranchised. And I'm counting on my peers to really, really come together. And Saturday, December the 20th, we're coming together. Mr. Moore, I want to applaud you. People are still talking about it. We had Republicans and Democrats, black, white, young, old. And that young man that spoke, there wasn't a dry face in the room. If you really want to get out here and help the community grow, come with us, Come Together 2.0. And let's drop it like it's hot. To all my Norwood neighbors, happy holidays. God bless you. President, I hope I didn't get kicked out for
You
this.
got 3 seconds.
Wow, I love you all. God bless you all. Be safe.
Bad.
For everything, right?
That's all right. You end the year with a bang, right?
Okay.
All right. The last request to address council is State Representative Ashley Bryant Bailey.
Right. Good evening, all of you. Some of you I have met, some I have not. It is a pleasure to be in your presence this evening. I'm a little winded. I've had a long day, so excuse my voice. To the Norwood residents, if those of you who have not met me, I am State Representative Ashley Bryant Bailey. I was appointed to this seat on October 1st, replacing the former Representative Cedric Denson. And so I am looking forward to continuing to engage with you all, having conversations presentations, but most importantly, making sure that what we're doing at the State House in Columbus directly translates to the folks here in Norwood, which are a part of District 26 that I represent. I wanted to come before you today just with a few very quick updates. For example, I have the pleasure of joining your member at large, Susan Hoover, this week. This Wednesday on December 17th, I am hosting, I have been doing this listening tour to go into the communities in District 26 to really hear from the residents, business leaders, electeds like yourself, to really hear from folks on what your communities need, what you're looking for. I don't want to just go and legislate in Columbus without actually speaking to those that I am legislating for. So it's really important that I'm going into the communities and meeting where folks are. And so for the city of Norwood, I invite you out to join us this Wednesday on December 17th. We will be meeting at the Norwood Welcome Center from 5 to 7. What you can expect there is an open conversation, but also I will be giving some legislative updates. So there are many bills to watch. Today, the Senate was in session and did go ahead and pass Senate Bill 56. For those of you that don't know, that is the hemp and marijuana bill. While we can celebrate the restrictions that it has put on, because we know that hemp has been troubling, especially for our youth in some of our communities, but there are some challenges within that bill. There's some recriminalization efforts. And so there are some line items that we are going to ask Governor DeWine to hopefully revisit to keep our communities even safer while keeping the good parts of the bill intact. I also think in relevance to your business and the incredible presentation that we had before us around development and the resources that you all get. One of the things that we're up against at the State House is really the dismissal of local government. There are many people at the State House in Columbus that do not believe in local governments. I am not one of them. And so I truly want to work with you all to make sure that we are doing a line of defense to stop taking resources from our local governments here in this city and in surrounding communities in Cincinnati. Obviously, there are many property tax bills, some of which that did pass the House in November. Not many of them are doing any good for our communities and the city of Norwood. And so just to get on your radar, there are things that I want to do and work with my colleagues in the caucus to make sure that cities like Norwood are continuing to get the resources that they deserve, and you all are continuing to lead with your leadership and not having to have, for lack of a better term, big government coming in and telling you how you should run your city. So with that, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I hope to join more of these meetings. When we are up in session, it is a little hard traveling in between Columbus and here, but if I'm not able to join the meetings, my proverbial door is always open. You can always reach me at rep26@ohiohouse.gov. So for any residents who need any assistance or just want to have my ear, you can again reach me at rep26@ohiohouse.gov. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. It is, yes. Mrs.
I just
Silver?
wanted to give the address to the Norwood Welcome Center. It's a new location, a new building, 4218 Montgomery Road. Old
All right.
building, new use.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is standing reports of council, and that is the Finance Committee report. Mr. Gerst.
To the Honorable City Council, City of Norwood, Ohio, we, your Committee of Finance, Budget, Audit, and Claims, to whom it's referred, standing reports and the budget. Beg leave to submit the following report. The committee heard from the auditor, who is working to close out purchase orders and make any adjustments to appropriations for the end of the year. A meeting is scheduled with VIP Analytics to detail the city's accounting software. Committee members are encouraged to attend. The Safety Service Director updated the committee on the budget. One key metric is that the budget was built on a 28% increase in health insurance for personnel, but was only an increase of 16%. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Jeff Gurton, Chairperson, Mr. John Braden, Mrs. Emily Franzen, and Mr. John Moore.
Thank you. Mrs. Bowling.
I move that we accept the committee report.
Motion by Mrs. Bowling to accept the committee report. Mr. Moore.
Second that.
Seconded by Mr. Moore. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Girton,
Yes.
Mr. Braden.
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to third readings of ordinances and resolutions. And the first, well, the only item, a resolution to adopt and implement a cybersecurity program for the city of Norwood in compliance with Ohio's cybersecurity law and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Franzen.
I move we have the third reading of this resolution.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to have the third reading of the resolution. Mrs. Bowling.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Call the, Mr. Garden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to say this is very timely. If you hadn't been paying attention to the news, the city of Gulf Manor just had their own cyber attack. And so I appreciate this being before the committee and getting this passed.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, motion on the floor by Mrs. Franzen, seconded by Mrs. Bowling, is to have the third reading of the resolution. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Girton,
Yes.
Mr. Braden.
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have the third reading of the resolution.
A resolution to adopt and implement a cybersecurity program for the city of Norwood in compliance with Ohio's cybersecurity law and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
I make a motion that we pass the resolution.
Motion by Mrs. Hoover to pass the resolution. Mrs. Bowling.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Girton,
Yes.
Mr. Braden.
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to second reading of ordinances and resolutions. We have two of those. The first is an ordinance regulating the use of virtual currency kiosks. Mrs. Bowling.
I move that we have the second reading.
Motion by Mrs. Bowling to have the second reading of the ordinance. Mrs. Franzen.
I second.
Seconded by Mrs. Franzen. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Girton,
Yes.
Mr. Braden.
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have the second reading of the ordinance.
An ordinance regulating the use of virtual currency kiosks.
Thank you. Next item is a resolution requesting the Planning Commission to adopt backyard paving limits. Mrs. Hoover.
Make a motion, we have the second reading.
Motion by Mrs. Hoover to have the second reading of the resolution. Mrs. Franzen.
I second.
Seconded by Mrs. Franzen. Any discussion? Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. So on this one in particular, I received a call and the person was asking, basically if we're looking at the backyard portion of this, does it warrant looking at this more broadly? And one of the topics that came up in that conversation was, for example, the front in the front yard, the driveway can take up no more than 25%. And whether or not that is sort of the right number. So if I don't know if your front yard is 30 feet wide and the standard driveway is 9 feet, then you basically can't have a driveway. And so I thought that was an interesting point. And then I know that some folks have expressed an interest in permeable, and does how might permeable pavement impact the percentage, and is that a relevant consideration to be factored in here? And so really I guess the question is while we're looking at this, is item E, let's say, comprehensive enough, or is it worth taking a beat and maybe looking at this more holistically before ultimate passage? Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right. Motion on the floor by Mrs. Hoover, seconded by Mrs. Franzen, is to have the second reading of the resolution. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore? Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have the second reading of the resolution.
A resolution requesting the Planning Commission to adopt backyard paving limits.
Thank you. And moving on to introductory readings of ordinances and resolutions. The first item is an ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency. Mr. Girton.
I make a motion to suspend the rules and have all three readings.
Motion by Mr. Girton to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mrs. Bowling.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Mr. Girton.
I just want to say this is an appropriation to help afford our fire equipment. And I mean, that would be the easiest way of saying it. So it's just shifting money around to make sure that we can afford these things.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, motion on the floor by Mr. Girton, seconded by Mrs. Bowling, is to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all three readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Franzen.
I move that we pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to the next item. An ordinance declaring improvements to certain parcels of real property within the city of Norwood, Ohio, to be a public purpose and exempt from real property taxation, requiring the owners of those parcels to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of those service payments, specifying the public infrastructure improvements to be made that directly benefit such real property, authorizing the distribution of the applicable portion of those service payments to the Norwood City School District and Great Oaks Institute of Technology and Career Development, and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Hoover.
Make a motion to have the first reading of the ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Hoover to have the first reading of the ordinance.
Mr. President,
Mr. Moore.
if we could pass this tonight, that would be
That's the one.
a fantastic thing. And Mr. Woodside is here in
Okay.
case you want more information.
I will change my ruling. Apologies, I didn't see it on there.
All right, Mrs. Hoover, you will
Motion. Change my motion to
amend
have
it
all three
to
readings.
suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Is there a second? Mrs. Franzen.
I second.
Seconded by Mrs. Franzen. Any discussion? Mrs. Hoover.
Could we have Mr. Woodside come up since he came all this way?
Mr. Woodside.
They all miss me very much. Mr. Council, how are you all doing tonight? Well, happy holidays. So I just give you a quick background. This is a TIF for the, I don't know if it's the official name, but the Trail House development along Wasson Way, just up the street here of Norwood, or Montgomery, sorry, down in Montgomery. And the idea here is that there is I know we've had lots of conversations about this, but there is a community reinvestment area exemption on that property for the first 15 years. It won't generate any, well, a little bit, but generally speaking, it'll be exempt from that during that period. But then from years, under this ordinance, from years 16 through 30, the taxes that would be paid to the various taxing districts will instead be diverted to the city. As it currently stands, the schools would be made whole. This ordinance, therefore, we didn't need school approval. There's some ongoing discussions with the schools, but this is something you're allowed to do without their approval, so they'll get all their money that they would have received but for this exemption. There's some nuance to that. We'll probably actually get a little bit more. But basically, they will get what they would have otherwise received. The rest of the funds can go to the city to be used for public infrastructure improvements that serve and benefit that property. So I think the streets and things like that, and things will change over 15 years, but it'll be available for that purpose at that time.
Thank you. Any questions?
Sorry, I was going to say one more thing. And the reason that Keith and why it's written this way, to have it be passed tonight under on an emergency basis and waiving all the readings is because that this ordinance needs to be effective basically by the end of this year. As you can see down there, it is, in the later stages of development of what's going on inside, but you can certainly see just walking down the street what's going on. So the assumption is that potentially new incremental value will go on the tax rolls next year for that project. So the effective date of the TIF ordinance, the value of the property on that date is what sort of sets the benchmark. So the incremental value above that, the tax revenues that are resulting from that incremental value are diverted. So if we don't put this on now, or this isn't effective until next year, you're not going to be able to capture the TIF revenue basically relative to the value it is now. If that makes sense. But happy to answer questions about that. I don't know if I explained that very clearly.
Any questions? Mr. Moore?
So you're basically saying that the value is as low as it's ever going to be, and that by delaying into 2026, we run the risk of there being a very quick assessment applied, and that would reduce the difference.
Yes. Correct. So let's say you captured the tax on the incremental value. Let's say right now it's zero, just to make it simple. Okay, so right now it's zero, and let's say it goes up to 30 million next year. The taxes generated by that $30 million of incremental value will be diverted into call it the TIF fund, just one of the funds that's created here. For example, though, if the TIF ordinance were not effective until next year, in 2026, when assumedly the value will go onto the tax rolls. I don't know exactly how much, but assuming it did, and we didn't pass this till next year, the way the taxes rolls, technically at the end of the year, it's retroactive back to this year, or January 1 of 2026. Anyway, point being that potentially it could go up if this isn't effective until a date when it has more value, you wouldn't capture any of that value. So if it goes on, it's effective next year, and it had gone up to that 30 million, it may still go up after that in the next 15 years, and probably will, but you won't capture that big jump between zero, what it is now, and where it goes when the project is built.
Yeah. Thank you. And
Sure. Mr. Moore?
On that point, does this change what counts as year one in terms of the counting for the 15 and 30 years?
It does not. I have to go back and look. I can't remember if we said it's going to start next year, or sometimes you put on there a specific start date that, yeah, so what we said here is that basically it's going to start in the first tax year in which improvement, meaning incremental value due to construction, goes on the tax rolls. So next year, for example, again, it's kind of difficult to predict exactly how the auditor is going to value it and when they're going to put the value on, because it seems almost done, but it's not quite done. They sometimes will do 50% of the value or 3/4 the value, but we don't know. But basically, in some circumstances, you don't have much going on. So you don't want a little bump in value that's not due to construction to kick off your TIF, because then you may have a year where you don't capture really anything. And so what we've said here is sort of, even though it's not as relevant, basically said, the first year that there's new value on this that's attributable to an improvement, meaning to the infrastructure or the building that's going on the property, that's when it's going to kick off, which I assume is going to be next year, but if for some reason they delayed it till a year after, that's the year when it would start. So we won't lose a year out of those 30 years. Did that answer your question okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Moore?
Sorry, just one more. So on the map, it is Exhibit A. It seems to be pretty strictly to that parcel. However, it's been subdivided with the Josephs or whomever. Yeah. Maybe I missed it, but is there how do we think about the the blast zone around those parcel boundaries relative to where TIF money can be applied or not?
So the rule is basically that it's going to directly benefit this property. I'd say that's a little, there's some wiggle room in there. But, for example, if you have a TIF area, it doesn't have to be, the public infrastructure don't have to don't have to be located in the TIF area, but they need to benefit the TIF area. So if you sort of general rule of thumb, I use a water tower just because it's an easy thing that everybody understands. If you have a water tower, it can be a mile away, but if the private improvements basically are increasing the use of that public infrastructure improvement, the TIF money can be used for that. So easy way right next to it, you have these roads going along here, which I think are not in great shape. Again, in 15 years from now, who knows what will happen? Obviously, you guys are doing great things with the roads, but that's a perfect example of something that's not in the TIF area, but it obviously is serving it. Same with Montgomery Road and other utilities and roadways around it, sidewalks and things like that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody, appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Pat.
Motion on the floor by Mrs. Hoover, seconded by Mrs. Franzen, is to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all three readings of this ordinance.
Oh, gosh.
It's totally okay. An ordinance declaring improvements to certain parcels of real property within the city of Norwood, Ohio to be a public purpose and exempt from real property taxation, requiring the owners of those parcels to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of those service payments, specifying the public infrastructure improvements to be made that directly benefit such real property, authorizing the distribution of the applicable portion of those service payments to the Norwood City School District and Great Oaks Institute of Technology and Career Development, and declaring an emergency. An ordinance declaring improvements to certain parcels of real property within the city of Norwood, Ohio to be a public purpose and exempt from real property taxation, requiring the owners of those parcels to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of those service payments, specifying the public infrastructure improvements to be made that directly benefit such real property, authorizing the distribution of the applicable portion of those service payments to the Norwood City School District and Great Oaks Institute of Technology and Career Development, and declaring an emergency. An ordinance declaring improvements to certain parcels of real property within the city of Norwood, Ohio to be a public purpose and exempt from real property taxation, requiring the owners of those parcels to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of those service payments, specifying the public infrastructure improvements to be made that directly benefit such real property, authorizing the distribution of the applicable portion of those service payments to the Norwood City School District and Great Oaks Institute of Technology and Career Development, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Bowling.
I move that we pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Bowling to pass the ordinance. Mrs.
I
Franzen.
second.
Seconded by Mrs. Franzen. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. And the last item is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Roland Specialty Vehicles and Products, AKA RSVP Ambulance, for the financing and purchase of a 2026 Trauma Hawk modular ambulance and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Franzen.
I move that we suspend the rules and have all three readings.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mr. Gerton.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Mr. Gerton. Any discussion? Mrs. Hoover.
I was wondering if Fire Chief McCabe would like to come up and speak on this.
Chief McCabe.
Good evening. What you have in front of you is basically the continuation of our fleet maintenance program. I think if you recall back in February when I did my annual report, I told you I would be coming to you guys with an ambulance purchase. Luckily, we were able to delay it a little bit. The production times are coming a little faster. This is going to be about 30-month build time, so keeping it within line with 2028 delivery time. We're looking at July, which is perfect for us. So brought to you guys for approval. This is within the FRP already, as it sits. This is actually underneath the dollar amount that's associated with that section of the FRP in the capital plan. And this represents the continuing of the being able to provide the top-notch ALS service to the citizens and visitors of the city.
Mrs. Franzen.
What is the typical lifespan of an ambulance like this? And I love the name Trauma Hawk also.
Sure. So we do a program where we rotate our ambulances through. We keep 3 ambulances in service at all times, and generally speaking, they do 2 months of frontline service with the 2 months behind the frontline service and 2 months in reserve. So what you see is the ambulances we have get 6 years of frontline service and 3 years of basically redundant or backup service. So 9 years we keep them. So we're buying ambulances every 3 years. 9 years is a pretty long time to have an ambulance in service, but when you look at the way we do our maintenance and our rotation program, it allows us to keep them a little bit longer, and we do recoup a little bit of money when we do auction them off. We will see the benefits of that when we do our first auction of our first ambulance. It was in service a little bit longer than we anticipated in frontline service, but this this purchase actually puts us on the 3-year mark as we do this, as we move forward, and part of our continuing capital planning piece.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Chief McCabe. The motion on the floor by Mrs. Franzen, seconded by Mr. Gerton, is to suspend the rules and have all 3 readings of the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all 3 readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Roland Specialty Vehicles and Products, aka RSVP, Ambulance for the financing and purchase of a 2026 Trauma Hawk modular ambulance and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Roland Specialty Vehicles and Products, aka RSVP Ambulance for the financing and purchase of a 2026 Trauma Hawk modular ambulance and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Roland Specialty Vehicles and Products, aka RSVP Ambulance for the financing and purchase of a 2026 Trauma Hawk modular ambulance and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Gerton.
Make a motion to pass the ordinance?
Motion by Mr. Gerton to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Bowling.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Next item, administration reports. Mr. Bonzo.
So first item that I have for you is a little bit bad news. First item I'm going to report, I'll just turn the microphone on, is a little bit of bad news, but just nothing that we really could plan for. It's just a fact of just how things work when it comes to receiving earnings taxes. So over the past week, it's become apparent that the net profit tax that we were hoping to receive this year isn't as high as expected. Furthermore, a few businesses that had estimated their net profit taxes and paid us earlier in the year have since filed requests for refunds because the estimated revenue that they had submitted is not what it's going to be. It's not what's in their final tax return that they filed with the IRS. All that being said, we're going to need about $1.2 million that will need to get refunded to various businesses by the end of January, kind of at the latest, or else there's like some interest payments that get added onto it. There's no action for you all to take today. I just want to let you all know we're working with the financial supervisor. I've made sure that Jeff was on the email that we sent to notify them. And we're also working with the mayor and the safety service director and the auditor to identify additional keys that we can take from. I spent 3 hours yesterday going through our budget, going through every single appropriation and whether it had encumbrances on it, basically purchase orders issued. And there were about $1.4 million in encumbrances that did not have purchase orders yet on them. So, and I'd even factored in for personnel costs that are, knowing that we're going to be paying personnel in December, like I did all the math on that. So essentially, I think we're going to be fine. Anna Mary's looking at it too. I sent her all my recommendations and everything. I just want to be fully transparent to you all and let you all know. We do get refund requests from time to time, and it's about $500,000 a year. So lately, it's been a little bit less. But we have no idea when they're going to come because we're being told earlier in the year that the business is on this kind of track, and then when we get the final tax return, things are a little bit different. So we are working through that and just getting through it, but just want you all to know so you're fully understanding kind of what that looks like. Again, I think the budget and the appropriations that you all have are fine as long as we were able to reallocate them. If we were in fiscal emergency, we would have an ordinance tonight to reallocate some funds to pay for this, but because we're in the fiscal emergency, we've got to work with the financial supervisor. So that's that, and at the next council meeting or earlier, we'll make sure that we keep you updated on where we kind of land with that. On a more positive note, though, as our new state rep alluded to, we do now have passage by the Senate of Senate Bill 56, which is the Senate bill that hopefully will finally appropriate our funds so that we can get the host community funds at 36%. I did some prior research, and we've talked about the 20%, 36%. It looks like the final amount, the final thing that was passed and signed by the governor back in June or July of the House Bill 96, it did preserve the 36%, and it took out the 4-year limit then. So this keeps that where it's the 36%, and there's no 4-year limit. So basically in perpetuity, and it's specifically says for any approved use. So I feel like we're going to be getting a check early next year for $500,000. I truly believe it's going to be somewhere around $500,000. Hopefully it's not less, but we have no way to know. There's nothing been released that tells us that. But I would recommend the council, though, to either, I don't know if it's an ordinance, resolution, what have you, but to pass something in the new year to designate that those cannabis funds go to the street fund. I just think it's the right thing to do because I think it's the right thing to do because it's bonus money that we don't necessarily want to start banking on every single year. The state could change this at any point in the future, and with new leadership, Mike DeWine's term limited here, and there's always changes of the leadership in the state house, so that money could always go away at any point. The state a lot of people at the state view that the adult use cannabis money as money that the state should have and the city shouldn't. It's almost like there's no reason why they should get it, basically, but the voters voted on it, so we should get it because that's what the voters said. But it could be changed at any point. So anyways, that would be my recommendation to Finance Committee or to the council would be to, when we receive that money, we put it in the street fund. And I think that's a great narrative to our citizens as well, that we are using that money in the way that I think most citizens would likely want us to use it, which is for our streets. So I'll just say that as soon as I get more updates on if the governor signs it, if there's any line item vetoes in that, we'll make sure we let you know. But thankfully, at least the House and the Senate have both passed the version that gives us the money that we have been waiting for a couple of years now. So with that, I can take any questions that anybody has.
Mrs. Hoover.
Thank you. And this might not be a question specifically for the treasurer, but perhaps for council. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was where to put that funding. And I appreciate the streets are absolutely in need. I'm also aware that our parks are also desperately in need. And we are actually having we're having more and more streets come online. There's a conversation about if we're going to look into a street levy. I just want to have a conversation with council. Where do we think the money would be best used? I'm not saying everything needs money. My question is it streets? To me, frankly, $500,000 is like half a street. But $500,000 to a park or a parks program could be pretty transformative. So I just would like to have a fuller discussion about where we think that funding would best be used. And perhaps someone on the finance committee would know better than I would.
Mrs. Franson?
I think once we know the actual dollar amounts, we'll have a much better idea of what makes sense for it. So I think maybe for January, for the finance meeting, having something to talk about, that would be good. Because hopefully by then, they'll have some idea of the relative amount of money that we might be receiving and when we would get it.
That would be an item to place into the Finance Committee in January because
Yes.
everything in committee goes away at the end of this year.
Oh,
Just
yes,
a
thank
reminder.
you. Yes, I thank you for the reminder.
Mrs. Bowling?
I was going to say something similar, that I think once we have more finalized budget information and we can see kind of where some gaps lie, I think there's also an argument to be made for supporting our community television. Certainly there's an argument for the parks. I agree, 500,000 sounds like so much money, and then I thought about it and I thought, well, that's half a block. We could pave half a block of a street at today's rates, which isn't to say that that's not valuable. That is, if half of my block got paved, boy, howdy, that would make a difference. But I think next year in committee would be the best place to have that conversation.
Mr. Garten?
I would just echo what was just said.
All right. Mr. Moore?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bonsall, for the update. With regard to the refund matter, my question is, what year, like, does that have to be paid out of? You said January, the end of January. So would that sort of be able to be paid out of 26? Does that have to be paid out of 25? I feel like on something I read, maybe it was even 24. So I guess, can you spread it across 25 and 26? Like, how should I think about that?
Mr. Bonsall?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think ideally, if we can get it done in 25, it's just best from an accounting perspective, and just so that it's gone, it's there, it doesn't need to be factored into, ongoing financial recovery plan. If the appropriations are there and the financial supervisor agrees that we should do it in 25, the deadline, official deadline would be January 16th, 2026 is when we need to get, truly need to get it out. Most businesses are they're relatively flexible there if we tell them that's coming at the end. But I would just say that if we can get it in 25, that'd be great. It's for it's tax year 24 is the reason. Some of the emails, one of the emails there say that cite tax year 24 because that would be the tax year that they're filing for. But I think like I said, I think it's best if we can do it in 25 just to get it out of the way. It is one specific refund of this group is $800,000. So it's by far larger than any refunds that we've ever seen. I mean, we only budget for about $450,000 a year today. So it's unfortunate, but it's also the nature. We've seen that profit tax go up quite significantly over the last few years. So it's not 100% surprising that there might be some refund requests out there, but to get them all right towards the end of the year here, not something that we were necessarily planning for, which is why I wanted to bring it to you as soon as at this very meeting. So,
Any other questions for Mr. Bonsall? All right. Mr. Miracle?
Thank you, Mr. President. As the auditor's office is preparing for the year end, Dr. Cambisi, our deputy auditor, is already working on the appropriations, which we will bring to council on 12/23. We've been working with the auditor of state, seems like almost daily communication. Also, the certificate of estimated resources is also due by 12/31 as well. I'd like to thank the department heads. This year, we've asked that the purchase orders be closed, as many as we can, by this Friday, 12/12, which I think is the latest we've done that since I've been here, and thank them for their cooperation there. Also, we had a virtual meeting with the SSI VIP team. Thank you to Mr. Durden for showing up and participating. Mr. Powers and the auditor staff were there. We're beginning work on the workflow, which, as I had discussed earlier, is our attempt at paperless for the auditor staff. And also the VIP portion, which we're going to be entering the budget into that moving forward. And also happy to report, we were able to negotiate 7 free hours of training. So we'll be working on that here in the next week or so.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Miracle? All right, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just on, I guess, on litigation news, since I'm the litigator guy. The thing that happened recently, so we have a number of Airbnb homes in Norwood. Some of those are in R1 and R2 districts, and the way that we have always interpreted our code is that they are essentially hotels and not allowed in those districts. So there is one, this different owners that are kind of related. They're all represented by one attorney. I think it was 8 or 10 of them. We're all decided, no, you can't do this. And there was appealed to the BZA. We had a long hearing about it. They filed suit to challenge our rules, and we had, it was probably 6 or 8 months ago, a magistrate's decision that ruled against us. And we objected to the magistrate's decision, and this week the judge overturned the magistrate's decision. So for right now, we won, which is nice. So, it's unusual for a judge to overturn the magistrate. So it was a pleasant surprise. I expect it to be appealed, but that's the latest litigation news at this point. And we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. So if somebody's watching this, they live in an R1 or R2, they Airbnb their home, what does that mean for them?
Right now, it's not a permissive use, and the building department will cite them. And if they don't comply, we will cite them to mayor's court and then prosecute them. And in theory, violations of the building zoning code are $1,000 a day and 6 months in jail for every day of the offense. Nobody ever gets that, but potentially.
Mrs. Hoover.
Through the president, I'm curious, what was the rationale that the magistrate had for ruling against the city?
Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are, our code doesn't specifically define that use. And the hotel definition isn't exactly on point for what that is. And our argument has always been that that is not a residential use. If it's a residential use, it's people that live there. They get their mail there. They register to vote there. That's what their address is. They live there. People that come for a day or 2 days do not live there. They are essentially hotel guests. And so that's not a residential use. It's not a permitted use in that district. And codes just have not traditionally been written in a way that is that kind of spells that out, as opposed to what the building looks like, right? You can't run a business out of a single family home. That's a business if it's in a residential district. But if it's a house and we're using it as a house, there's a lot of back and forth on that. And there was a decision, it was not long before the BZA hearing, where out of another community in Hamilton County that, and the difference between them and ours, they had a very similar code, but they had started off saying that, no, it's a bed and breakfast. And then when it went to the BZA, no, this is a hotel. And then when it went to court, no, it's something else entirely. So they kept changing their rationale. But the First District Court of Appeals, the Hamilton County Court of Appeals, ruled, no, that's a residential use, and Airbnb is a residential use. So that's kind of what we were fighting against in court. But the reason to distinguish that is, no, that particular community just was making it up as they went along, and they just didn't want it. They didn't have a good reason. And we have been consistent in our interpretation from the building department, the law department. No, it's not a residential use. A residential use is different. And it's still kind of an open question in Ohio. And ideally, we would change our code. And there's just been the discussions we've had. It's been, we're not sure what we want it to be. But we are in the process. We have another meeting on Friday, the building department, law department, service safety director, to look at kind of the whole zoning code. That's one of the issues. There are a host of others that need to be updated. But that's where we stand right now. So, and I can send you the briefs if you want to read them, but I figured you have better things to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Moore? Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Moore, are there any other updates about things that might be winding down as it pertains to litigation?
Mr. Moore?
We have some documents going back and forth with the school district's attorneys. I'm trying to think what else.
That's the one.
Lots of mayor's court stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Moore? Mr. Powers, was there anything you wanted to provide from an administration? All right. And moving on to unfinished business. Any unfinished business? Mrs. Hoover?
I got a handful of things. The first is a request to put an item into, I guess, the Parks Committee. I'm aware that we've been sort of talking about park planning, but we don't really have a master plan. And I just found out today about some activity in Marsh Park that was just sort of news to me. It was sort of interesting that I feel like I pay pretty close attention to what's going on, so was surprised that I was surprised. And I think that sort of goes to an overall challenge we have in communication, but also with planning. And I would love for that to be something that the Park Committee could look into. I know we're going to be doing a charrette for, now I've forgotten what that was for, but we don't do much for real community engagement on what we want the parks to look like besides what was just recently done. So I'd love to have something a little more formal, not that residents get to decide that we're going to have a pool in every park. Those days are probably gone, but that we do have some engagement on what we want the parks to look like, and that council and residents have an input. So I guess I'm requesting through the chair that be put into that committee.
It's not just a reminder that contents and committees clear out the end of the year because there will be a new council and new committees.
So I need to say this again in January?
You're going to have to place it back in there in
I can do
January.
that.
All right. Mrs. Hoover?
Okay, another quick one. There were a whole bunch of people reached out regarding car break-ins, and when I reached out to Chief Sumner, found out that no one had actually reported them to the police. So this is a request to folks at home. If there's a car break-in, please report it. That seems to be an ongoing challenge that the council members will get information about a water dripping or whatever, but the actual people that need to know aren't knowing. So this is a request to folks at home to please report. You can either do it on the police website, you can call in, and probably could even do it on See-Click-Fix, and it would get routed to the right place. I'm not actually encouraging that, but it would filter to the right place. So there's lots of ways to reach out to folks. I just want to touch base on the community survey. We have over 1,150 respondents, which is fantastic. However, we've now had the Survey Monkey for over a year, so I just got a $1,400 charge. And that's something that I'm paying for. So I would love for, yeah, right. I would love for us to move forward with that and perhaps even look at if that's something that could be spread out or shared or reimbursed or what have you. It kind of snuck up on me. I thought we had until January, but we did not. We had until November. I want to share a few exciting things about sustainability. One, you can recycle your holiday lights now here in Norwood at the Reboot. It's a little box behind the Board of Health, so it's 24/7. You can take your old, I started a collection of old computer cords and those earphones that you get when you fly for free, like that random electronic garbage. You can take all of that to the Board of Health. Behind the building is a metal container where you can put it in, and the folks come and take it away. And we have several hundred pounds have already gone away from that. That's very exciting. I went on a recycling tour of Rumpke. 10 out of 10. Everyone needs to do this. It was really phenomenal. It was also horrifying. What's horrifying is the Coleraine is the primary is our dump, and it has about 30 to 40 years left. So we got to recycle way more than we're doing. Norwood, we've increased quite a bit. We're about 2% in the last few years, but we really need to step it up because we're running out of space fast. So I'm going to encourage folks to do a recycling tour. I'm even going to see if I can get like a little one for just Norwood folks. But please, please, please recycle. In the work I've been doing with Carolyn with the Board of Health, they sent out over 170 postcards to businesses about the ways in which that they can recycle, our smaller businesses, which can currently recycle. How do I say this? They're already paying for recycling on their water bill, but aren't actually recycling. So they're businesses that could be recycling, but aren't. So we're trying to hit those. Fantastic news, the composting hub that Carol and I have been working on got granted. So that we're gonna be having a composting hub at Lower Millcrest. I've talked about it before, but we finally got the money, so that's super exciting. And so look for that come spring. We're being supported through Hamilton County Resource, and they're doing a great job of holding our hands and helping us through the process. And that will allow residents to compost for free for a year. If you've been around Cincinnati, North Side, they're doing a huge, a lot of work over there to get folks to compost, and they even have bins on the sidewalk next to the bus stop. So anyway, so those are coming more and more online. Starting in 2026, there's going to be a mini recycling hub for hard to recycle items, also at the Board of Health. It's going to, and we will have more details. That's going to start in January, but that's going to be another opportunity for folks to get rid of things like your plastic Kroger bags, clamshells. We're going to focus on the things that there's a good home for. That has a place for them to be recycled. And unfinished. I'm just gonna, I think this is leaves. I saw Clint Zimmerman today, and we were talking about leaves. That was another challenge when we had that early snow. A lot of folks had already put their leaf to the curb, and then we got a nice dumping of snow right on top of it. And because we only have one truck that had to be transferred over from the leaf sucking up version to our snow plow version, and it's very it's a very time consuming process to change all the parts. So what they're going to do is, if you still have leaves at the curb, as I did today, leave them there. They will come with like a little backhoe and pick up what they can. Please do not add new leaves to the pile. If you can, put those in leaf bags, which you can get for free at the Board of Health or pretty inexpensive at, all your box stores, or you can let them compost on your yard. Yeah, they like that. So again, if you have leaves on the ground, you can go ahead and leave them. They are going to try to continue to come around and get that. My last item is water. Many folks might have gotten a letter about a potential for lead in the pipes. I got one. We have 130-year-old house. And if you might have lead in your pipe, then you got this letter. And it is a requirement from, I think, the state, Mr. Powers, I think it's from the state, that it's required, if it's unknown, we're going to basically assume that it's probably lead. Now, for most folks, that's not an issue because lead, as long as it's not disturbed, isn't going anywhere. But if you have concerns about it, You can get a lead test for free from the city, from Public Works, and give them a little sample of your water, and you put it on the porch, and they come and they take it, and then they test it, and they give you results within 2 days. So if that's something that folks are interested in, I want to encourage them to do that. The number for Public Works is 513-458-4615. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other unfinished business? Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. President. I know that we probably do have one committee of the whole maybe left. So I might put this in the committee. But I was thinking about the back in the spring when I was appointed, there was some talk about a like new council member onboarding that Ms. Bowling was leading. And I was just thinking it might be good to dust that back off and revisit that and see what, you know.
It's still in committee. It hasn't been reported out. I just did not add that to the last agenda items, the last two agendas, because the focus seemed to be the rules of council and committee. But yes, that is still in there, as well as the master plan.
Okay, great. Yeah, in any case, yeah, just wanted to bring that back up in case there's something to act on for the new folks.
Any other unfinished business? Any new business? Mrs. Franzen.
One quick thing, wanted to invite all of you and anyone watching to a community dinner. It's free, 6:30 or 6 o'clock at the Cidery. My friend Laura, the Sullivans, they've been doing it once a month. You can come, just bring some food, and enjoy the company of your community members. Everyone is welcome. It is at Cidery this month, and next month it will be at the community center. So it's always a nice time, lots of delicious food. And this month we'll have Santa there. Who is Santa? Who knows? No one, a mysterious person will play Santa, as Santa himself, actually. Also, Let's Go X, Cross Don't Shoot Out. That's it.
All right, any other new business? Okay, then we move on to communications, and this is a letter from the Norwood Planning Commission regarding the final PUD plan for 4500 Beach Street, the Robertson South PUD.
To President of Council, Joseph S. Gears, and members of the Norwood City Council from Norwood Planning Commission, date November 21st, 2025. Final PUD plan for 4500 Beach Street, the Robertson South PUD, copy law department file. On November 20th, 2025, the Norwood Planning Commission held a special open meeting regarding item number 2 of the Norwood 2025 Norwood Planning Commission agenda. Mick Oakes, associate developer with PLK Communities, is submitting a final planned unit development PUD plan for the property south of Robertson Avenue, known as 4500 Beach Street, Norwood, Ohio, 45212, 2.839 acreage, Hamilton County Auditor's Book 651, page 0030, parcel 0206, located within NBD/PUD Neighborhood Business District Planned Unit Development Overlay, including the proposed PUD expansion, 2741 Robertson Avenue, Norwood, Ohio, 45212, Hamilton Auditor Book 651, page 0030, parcel 0194-00. With the unanimous affirmative vote, the motion to recommend to the Norwood City Council to approve the final PUD plan titled Factory 52 Robertson South Plan, stamped, received by the Norwood Building Department 10/14/2025 for the project at 4500 Robertson South, including the PUD expansion of 2741 Robertson Avenue, Norwood, Ohio, 45212, contingent upon the following conditions being met. The dumpster corral location is to be improved upon, moved to a more acceptable location, that the fence, shielding, and landscaping around the perimeter where homes are being communicated to and approved by the Norwood Building Commissioner, that a traffic study focused on Beach Street and Kenilworth Avenue and recommendations for improvements if warranted shall be implemented and provided to the City of Norwood Building Department for review by the city engineer. Planning Commission would further ask this memo be placed in the next meeting of the Norwood City Council for the council to set a public hearing in accordance with the requirements in sections 1117 period 10, 1117 period 11, and 1117 period 112 of the Norwood Codified Ordinance.
Thank you. Mrs. Franzen.
I move that we receive and file the letter and schedule a public hearing.
It looks like this is one where we have to advertise the 30 days prior, so we're looking at January 27th.
Could you not do the 13th on that?
I don't know if we have enough time to get.
Because there's an extra week in between your alls the meet, so there's a fifth Tuesday in December, so that should give you.
Correct, but I believe the time constraint would be getting everything ready to go with the Enquirer for advertising.
In the next 4 days, can they do that or not? And if
Correct.
not, then
Yes, that is I don't know that they turn it around that fast. I didn't think so. That's right. That's why I looked at the 27th, which would be the first meeting after, well, the second January meeting, because we would not be able, I don't believe we would be able to make the deadline to have that on the 13th based on the Enquirer. So, motion by Mrs. Franzen, receive and file the letter, and I'm going to schedule the public hearing for the January 27th date. Is there a second? Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Mr. Moore.
thank you. I think this is for the law director. So ultimately, as far as you know, they continue to not ask for any variances or changing of laws or codes, right? So in effect, we are going to have a public hearing, but then there is ultimately no legislative matter for us to consider at this public hearing, right? It's effectively a formality.
Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, that's correct. And it's exactly the same plan that went through the preliminary. The Planning Commission put some more qualifications on it, the traffic study regarding beach and the dumpster, those kinds of things, but it's exactly the same plan. So, this is a formality.
Okay. And regarding those like conditions, the 3 items listed, just practically, how do those play out? Who follows up? How do we make sure that happens? That sort of thing.
Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. It would be the building commissioner would make the determination that this is good enough to issue permits to do the construction.
Got it. Thank you.
Or to issue that, or if it's like the dumpster, it would be more like the certificate of occupancy.
Any other questions? All right. Motion on the floor by Mrs. Franzen, seconded by Mrs. Hoover, is to receive and file the letter and schedule the public hearing for January 27th, 2026. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am. All members present voting yes, the motion carries. We do have one absent member. Mr. Girton.
Make a motion to excuse her absence.
Motion by Mr. Girton to excuse Ms. Royce's absence this evening. Mrs. Bowling.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am. All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Moore.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. This meeting is hereby adjourned.
Groovy.